Really?
It's going to take the second half on indices. Please, can you let me know if you can hear me? And you can also see my chat. All right, good morning, Mr. Taiwo. Good to have you here, sir. I see more people. Ethan, GH Boy, Moyola. It's good to have everyone here. Thank you for joining. Okay, so let us see what the market has in store for us today, starting off with the USD on the daily time frame. So we see that structure is, overall, major structure is to the downside, right? If we then zoom in and try to look at the most recent price action to see what has been happening, you see that we have something like this currently going on. This is what we now see happening in the chart. Point A to B, this and this, right? And then we've seen this being looking like a current reversal. This is what we're now having on the chart. So are we going to see this reversal give us another leg up? Bear in mind that we have a zone here that has not exactly been broken. So on the daily time frame, it is safe to say that price only took out this structure point, but it hasn't taken out this zone yet. So I'm now looking to see if price would eventually trade above here, break the structure, and then start giving us gradual buys on this particular asset class, right? Now go on the 4-hour time frame. What do we see? On the 4-hour time frame now, it's safe to see based on most recent price action, we have um, higher highs and higher lows being printed, but this is still a resistance point that is giving me cause for concern if I was to go in for a buy. But let us see. So I'm going to draw this out here, expecting price to trade into the zone. And then when price gets here, I'm now going to be watching out for two things. It is either it violates this zone, breaks above and continues trading, comes even to even take out all of this liquidity because we know that price always goes for liquidity point. So we're seeing all of this diagonal liquidity on the upside. The price will most likely trade into or trade in to go and clear. So I'm watching this, but this line you just saw me draw is a point of interest that I'm watching to see what price does. But based on what price is currently doing now, the next thing I'm going to do is to draw out my most recent swing just so I can calculate the retracement level to see if price is in a good enough zone to want to attempt a buy. So we have this first structure point here, a low and a high, higher low, higher high, right? Higher low, higher high. So this now becomes my most recent swing. I'm just going to delete this so you don't get confused by the too many drawings on the chart. So this is now my most recent swing that I see on AUD USD 4-hour time frame. Of course, we're looking at price trading into 50 to 61.8% fib level, which is safe to say price already did that. So now that I've seen price traded into this zone, in fact, the good place to even jump in was when price was here, but price has done this now. Did it respect other criteria on the 1-hour time frame? Okay. So remember, this is the 4-hour POI that price traded into, and then we saw this. Does this qualify as a base? We're going to zoom in and see. Okay, so price gave us this, which is what we ideally want to see at these Fibonacci levels, and then we saw a continuation pattern right here. But price did not fully meet all the criteria in the sense that it did not trade above. I'm very sure, very certain that when we go on the lower time frames like M5, we're not going to see any variation pattern because all we see here on the 5-minute time frame, on the 1-hour time frame is just a spike. But let's go there and confirm. Let's not speculate. Okay, so you see it. The 5-minute entry criteria was not met. So although price traded into this zone, it has not met that criteria yet. So fortunately, we won't see an opportunity to jump into the sell or into this buy rather on AUD USD. Regardless, I am still following structure and I'm still looking at a buy, right? Let's see, are you going to come here and break above? If not, are you going to find resistance, which is then eventually going to change up the structure and continue everything downward? Well, from what we see right here, we see, a higher high, a higher low, and a higher high has been printed. We also see a higher low. So we're watching out to see if this gives us a higher high that takes out this resistance point, right? And if not, price gets here and finds resistance, we're going to be selling AUD. Please let me know if this analysis is clear so far before we move to the other asset class. I see more people have joined the Liberty, Cavwam, Tank Cat, Johnson Chukuma, George Cafe. Is this analysis clear, please? Let me know. All right, sir. So let us look at NZUSD then, starting from the daily time frame as well. So major structure is clearly, well, the first glance at NZUSD is a clear structure to the downside. When you then zoom in and try to look at most recent structure, that is where you now start seeing something like this. So this tool is going to really help you to, draw out structure points if you tend to get confused sometimes. So this, we now have this, right? Okay. So did this structure point take out this zone? Yes, it did. It took out this particular level that was supposed to give us a lower low. So we already see some sort of change of character on the daily time frame. Now this is not a retracement, but the same thing, similar to AUD USD, there is a resistance point around here. There's also a fair value gap, which will most likely, push price down. There's a fair value gap here, which most likely push price down. But from what I'm seeing here, there's a slight change of character. So is it now a good enough place on the daily time frame to say we want to jump in for a buy? Most likely not, right? We want to see clear break of structures. Clear break of structures. But this is also very similar to what we saw on EUD and that explains why our entry pattern was not made on the 5-minute time frame, because in as much as this gradually changing character, we've not seen clear break of structures that would highlight to us that we are in clear, uptrend. So just see a slight change of character around here. There's a resistance point. There's a fair value gap. So in as much as price has traded into the zone, a possibility that we just might see it continue. But again, this is now a point of interest for us to continue watching to see if price continues its overall structure to the downside, right? But again, following the rule of market structure, I'm going to go ahead and mark out my most recent swing. Mark out my most recent swing, which is what I have here, and then I'm going to mark out the resistance points too, which is now what we have just here. These two, anywhere I see candlesticks, two candlesticks on the higher time frame, something like this is a resistance, and then if it is the reverse, something like this, or preferably something smoother like this, it is then a support. All right, so I have this. You see that price also already traded into the 50% fig level on the daily time frame. Let's look at the 4-hour time frame, shall we? Okay, so on the 4-hour time frame now, it is clearer. The breakout structures are clearer, but there's still these relevant resistance on that price has not highlighted. So right now on NZD I'm waiting to see what price does here. Either you break above and I continue to buy, anticipating that price is going to start forming new structures, because at the end of the day, price is fractal, or you're going to find resistance at this zone and then continue selling in sync with the overall major trend. Okay, so because we've seen that on the 4-hour time frame, there's not even much to look out for on each one until price gets to this zone. So this is what we want to see price doing. We're watching out for this level to see what price does. So yeah. My USD card now, which is the final asset class I'm looking out for before Demila comes to doing this. Let us start on the daily time frame. What do we see now? For this one, it is clearly still to the upside. What we see here is structure to the upside, right? Of course, we can see it without this tool, but for the sake of those who don't fully understand, right, how we anticipate, because I know we have newbie traders amongst us as well. So this is still to the upside. And the 4-hour time frame, what do we see? Same thing, structure is also to the upside. So what am I now trying to figure out? I'm trying to mark out my most recent one. So in this case, now that we have higher highs and higher lows, higher highs, this is a lot of range. on the 4-hour time frame on this asset class. It's a lot. This range has been going on for quite a while, right? So this is a range right now. USD CAD on 4-hour time frame is currently in a range, and even if I attempted to, mark this swing out and say, okay, we saw a relevant pullback here, this now becomes my new swing. You see that it's not as clear, it's not a clean price action as we prefer. But regardless, we're going to go ahead and mark it out. So now that we've seen this, we can now mark out this zone 50% bid level, right? Okay, so price trading here, and then we're going to see if price breaks above. But then you remember that when we talk about trends and when we see a ranging market, what do? We stay out. But there's no point trying to force it. This is clearly a ranging market. So what's the point of even trying to pick out a swing, even in the range, to predict where price is going to break out from, right? So because we're seeing this now, it's preferable or to, on the safer side, to just wait for price to eventually pick out a direction. Of course, people have been, making money in all of this range. People are making money inside all of this craziness that we see here. But we're not in a hurry, and this is not the only asset class to trade. So if this is not so clear for you, simply check out another asset class that is much clearer, gives you clear details, and then you take your trades on that asset class. All right, so that's pretty much it. It's pretty straightforward on what we're looking out for these asset classes. Let me know if you have any questions now before we do indices. Okay, sir. So there are specific days, different days that we look at different asset classes because of time, right? So we give different asset classes different days. So they come on Mondays and Fridays. That's when gold is looked at predominantly. And then Tuesdays, Thursdays, we have commodity currencies and indices analysis. Then, of course, I think Wednesdays we have pound and euro USD analysis. So it's different days for different asset classes just to save time. So we don't have to analyze a lot of asset classes and then spend much more time in here. I hope that's clear, sir. All right, sir. We'll put that into consideration. Okay, so thank you so much for listening. Please just leave an emoji for me if this was helpful to even one person. Just leave an emoji before my colleague comes on board for his part. Let me know. All right. Thank you so much, GH boy. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Thank you, Ethan. Okay, so we're going on a very short break, less than a minute, and we're going to be back. Please do not go anywhere. Would really help. All right. Thank you for your feedback. Cheers and God bless.
Hello everyone and welcome to the second part of this market call again. All right, I believe you can hear me. Please do let me know in the chat box if you can hear me so we can continue this morning. Can you hear me? All right, thank you. So this morning we'll be looking at the second part, and that's the analysis on indices. Around the indices, I mean the US 30 NAS 100 and also the S&P 500, right? So we'll be looking at those markets this morning, and then hopefully can make some deduction from what the market has done. So congratulations, yesterday we had inauguration. For those of us joining from Nigeria, we joined, and then it was interesting to watch, right? And then from Trump's speech yesterday, there's some key takeaway, right? Which he mentioned, which are kind of significant. Loud and clear, all right, thank you. So like one that stood out for me are like the major industries US might be looking to invest heavily on, which probably for those that want to trade individual stock, but of course it's still going to affect the entire indices market, especially the US 100 as Nasdaq, right? Space, he talked about space going to Mars. They are invested in oil. If you remember his speech, in his exact word, drill, baby drill, meaning we're drilling the soil, right? So US oil, we expect some drama around US oil. Talks about what's it called now? AI, right? AI revolution and the rest. And then most importantly, tariff, right? Tariff for what's it called? Imports. So that's like a major takeaway, right? Which is kind of significant. That's like the whole statement that shook the entire market yesterday in terms of tariff on every imports that will be coming into the U.S. economy, U.S. soil. Expect tariff, expect tariff from Mexico, from Canada. So it's about 25%. I've forgotten now. I think about 25% or so I mentioned. So, which is quite significant, scrapping IRS to bring ERS. So, all of this happened yesterday, and I was just watching to see how the market is going to react to it. But from technical perspective, let's look at what the market is doing this morning on NAS 100, right? We see a retest from this other block. We're expecting this trendline liquidity to be swept, like we discussed last week. Something like this trendline liquidity to be swept, and which eventually it has happened, and then we see like a retest of this other block area here, right? So on the 4-hour time frame, if we saw a fair value gap here, and then price ultimately tested this fair value gap. I thought that was going to happen before. There was an area we marked out. So I'm trying to remember the, I think it was this area that we marked out 50% of the fair value gap, but price didn't get to that. That was last week. Yes, that was last week, Thursday, New York market color session. We marked out this entire zone, right? And expected price going to tap at least 50%. That's aligning with this breaker block, but then it didn't get to that before we start seeing the push to the upside. So today we've seen like a retest of this zone, right? So on the 1 hour, is there any chance for intraday trade? For a buy, nothing yet on the 1 hour for a buy, right? That is quite significant for a buy, nothing yet. For those that want to sell, I don't even recommend the sell because the market is still trying to digest all of the news, right? I was reading a few headlines this morning before coming on board, and then it carries economic tariff threat, meaning until the 1st of February before we actually know if it's going to do that or not. But now, based on past previous performance, we've seen that he stands by his word. So hopefully, if there's any tariff cut, we should see that push across NAS 100, meaning US company. It's a good day for US company. So I'm very bullish. We've been saying it already, bullish on US company. But then if we see that happen on February 1st, then we should expect some higher highs clearing all of these liquidities resting above, right? Resting above all the liquidity, even this. Let me even start from this one. Price clearing it ultimately and even powerfully. For intraday trade on US 100, that's Nasdaq, there's no really any intraday trade for me for today in terms of actively trading the market. I'm just watching to see how price is going to react on this level, and then to get other price action that can help out. Our intraday trade could have been last week, buy from the fair value gap, 50% fair value gap, but then that didn't happen. So when that did not happen, I just took my hands off NAS 100 to wait for this week, right? So Let's look at US 30. Let's look at US 30. All right, on US 32 on daily time frame, see that we are bullish. We've broken the previous lower high, which was this, proven the previous lower high, and also price tested this fair value gap. However, there's still a fair value gap just underneath it. The price come back to test it again. I don't really think so, right? So 50% of the, or even the entire fair value gap, price testing it, and then, or most likely 50%, and then you see a push to the upside again. So on the 4-hour time frame, is there something significant happening on the 4-hour time frame? No, nothing really significant in terms of you know, checking something to the left. We've just seen that this external liquidity, this former previous lower high has been taken out. So that's the only significant, thing that's happened for US 30. But like I mentioned already, on the high time frame, I would want to see a retest of this level, right? I want to see a retest of this fair value gap, yeah, for me to, start buying to the upside if eventually I'm going to buy this market. So this is what I'll be looking out for on US 30, and also on the 1-hour time frame. The 1-hour time frame is not really clear in terms of what the market is going to do. It's not really clear in terms of even price action we have already. Price action is not giving, it's not giving any signal currently as we speak. So we might just have to just wait out and then allow the whole euphoria around the inauguration to die down, and then we're going to get more data to trade US 30, right? It's not really clear as to what exactly it wants to do in terms of intraday analysis. All right. Quickly on S&P 500, since today will be very, very fast, because what we have in the markets is what we're gonna analyze. All right. On the day time frame, also the same thing like US 30, right? I've seen a retest of this other block, and a fair value gap sitting pretty well just below it. On the 4-hour time frame of things, also we've seen that sweep, though not seen this yet, right? Most likely price going to take out this eventually today, right? Price going to take it out today, and then continue that push to the upside, everything being the same, right? We see that push to the upside for intraday trade on S&P 500. On intraday trade on S&P 500, actually it has happened already. That it has happened. That was yesterday's trade, right? This fair value gap that's happened, and for today we have literally nothing to anticipate in terms of even buy and sell, right? If you're buying, if you're selling, there's really nothing you want to do, except you want to go to lower time frame for 15 minutes, which is also not even clear, right? So for today we might just have to just leave this pair and then allow them to settle down in terms of gathering more data post inauguration, and from there we can begin to make our decision. But just so you know, fundamentally I'm bullish across board. I'm bullish, and I'm not bullish because I want to, but from what President Trump has said, so far so good. We are bullish across board. I mean, there'll be time where we're going to short S&P 500, short all of them in terms of selling actively, but then just so we are aligned with what is happening, the current scene is bullish on US company, bullish on US corporation. All right, that'll be end of today's analysis. Let me know in the comment section if you have any question, and also if you have any contribution, right? I see Mr. Luashe is here. I actively also trade US market. Do we have any question? Do you have any contribution? Do you have any question regarding this analysis? We didn't do more of technical today. It was more of you know fundamental in terms of what is actively driving this market. Do we have any question? Was it understood? I want to know the chat box. Any questions so far from any of us? All right, all right, all right. I see we have no question. That being said, we're going to come back by 2 o'clock for the New York market color. I believe by then we'll have gotten more data in this market, and then we can check out for other intraday play if there is. Personally, I believe there won't be much for today in terms of intraday play for US 30 and so NAS 100. But if there's anything that's changed between now and 2 o'clock, we'll look at it together, and then we have a more comprehensive analysis. All right, that being said, I wish you all a profitable trading. Ensure you trade with proper risk management, and cheers and God bless, guys. Thank you.